You're looking at the most isolated and remote town in the United States. It's called Jarbidge, Nevada, and it's nestled deep in the mountains at the end of a long dirt road, with no civilization for 100 miles in every direction. There's no school, no hospital, no grocery store, and yet the 16 year-round residents have managed to keep this town alive. Even more than that, they seem to be a thriving, happy community in the middle of nowhere. This could not be more different from the cities I've lived in, where there are millions of people and everything I need is at my fingertips. But even with all of that, I feel like it's been extremely hard to build community. And often I find these big cities can be really lonely at times. Now, while I would think living so detached from the world would be a sad or miserable experience, the footage I saw in Jarbidge made that seem like the furthest thing from the truth. So I decided I needed to go and see what made this ghost town so special. And on a personal note, could I see myself living in a small town like this? After some extensive research, my friend Juan and I embarked on what would become an adventure that would challenge everything we knew about building community, connecting with people, and small town living. This is our journey to the most remote town in the United States.
Let's go to Jarbidge. Jarbidge?
Well, here's the thing that you gotta know about this little town. In the old days, it was actually Jarbidge, and then there was a big uprising of actual escaped monkeys. There was a bridge that would go into the city, and then in the middle of the revolution of these monkeys, they took down the bridge. So then, in order to not make it a thing about remembering that fateful day, they changed the name from Jarbidge to Jarbidge.
I know for a fact that that's not what happened.
You don't know for a fact.
I know
nothing.
for a literal fact. Let's go. We're going to Jarbidge.
The story of Jarbidge is similar to many other Western towns, and it starts with gold. In 1909, a man named Dave Bourne discovered millions worth in the mountains surrounding Jarbidge. From there, a booming mining town was born. Prior to that, the land was untouched because the Shoshone people living around there believed the nearby hills were haunted by a carnivorous giant. But that wouldn't stop miners, as Jarbidge swelled to a population of near 2,000 people at its peak. And at one point, it was the highest gold-producing town in Nevada. But as most of these stories go, in the 1930s, mining operations started to slow, and with it, the population dwindled. Today, the 16 residents live in what looks like a relic of the last century. And with only one dirt road in and out for 8 months of the year, Juan and I would need to make the near 16-hour drive from Los Angeles through Nevada into Idaho and back down into the town. And the closer we got, the more interesting the mystery of this town became.
We have 60 miles left. From this point forward, we are not going to hit another inch of civilization until we get to Jarbidge.
That's it.
This is the longest day I've ever had.
No, it hasn't been terrible, all things considered.
If you were gonna do an impression of me...
Hey, I'm Andrew.
Okay.
All I'm saying is, if I was around the age of 16, Martha Stewart wouldn't be my last choice. Should have done the penny slots. No one loses 5,000 on penny slots.
All right, how you feeling now?
As soon as we drove into the ravine, we got warped
Into a snowstorm.
into like a container of just snow.
And it's the middle of May.
This little experience right here, it's magical in every way.
It literally looks like that sign has gunshots in it.
Drew, where the fuck are we, bro? Like,
Just 18 miles between here and Jarbidge.
like the most emotionally volatile I've been in a while. I'm like happy, sad, worried.
The closer we get to Jarbidge, the more swings of emotions we keep having.
Oh,
I think we're
you
here.
coming up on the right?
Dude.
Is this it?
Oh my gosh.
Welcome to Jarbidge, Nevada. From what we could see, there are about 50 buildings lining the one street, which, as you can guess, is called Main Street.
This is crazy.
This is crazy. It almost feels like a movie set.
I don't know where we go first. Where do we go first?
Let's check in, obviously.
There is not a single other person here.
Oh, motel's right there. Just go inside the motel, I guess.
Doesn't want to go.
We were a little worried about our first interactions with people.
Or maybe in the bar?
Before booking our stay, our point of contact mentioned some residents didn't love being filmed, and that mixed with a few cues from our drive-in definitely made us unsure of what to expect. Instantly, our worries faded as we were welcomed by two fellow travelers, Jeff and Earl, Jarbidge's oldest local, Ron, and after a few seconds, our point of contact and the owner of the Red Dog Saloon, Jace, appeared. Within 5 minutes of us being there, he served us a drink from his crazy selection of liquors.
You guys drove a long ways for a good selection.
Took our food order and went in the back to start cooking.
Wow. Gentlemen on scholar,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And when we learned a few more interesting things about this place,
There's no Wi-Fi, no service. We have to use our landline to get in contact with our family.
we were ready to get a taste of what a night in the most remote town is like. Really bad at porn.
What's your relationship with Jarbidge?
Oh, I love it here. I love Jay's.
Her family's been playing music up here for a generation.
I like this place. It's super cool.
Come on, Drew.
And that's over.
What?
How late do you stay open?
Until you're done drinking?
Cheers, fellas.
To the boys.
Like really away from everywhere.
15 residents. Oldest 90, youngest.
36 or 7.
So the average age.
70.
You got a girlfriend?
I do, sir.
I got a jewelry shop. I make diamond rings.
No way.
Yeah, a diamond ring.
Dime and ring.
So I started cowboying in 2018. This is 1,000 head of kettle. Oh my god. Kettle. I've got tons of kettle.
Taking off?
I can't take off without losing.
Don't get pulled over now. You've been drinking a little bit, huh?
By the way, I'll run that friggin' red light, right?
We're having just the time of our lives at the Red Dog Saloon. In the dead of winter, we'll be this deep in snow, and we're freezing our off. I've sat in Jason's bar with my socks off in front of that wood stove, warming my toes up.
That's family right there.
Shit, they took care of us, that's for sure.
You have to want to be coming here to get here. It's not something you're just driving by on the freeway and like, oh, let's check this out. We're at the end of a dead-end road for 7.5 months out of the year. And that's why you don't get too many people out here.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
First night in Jarbidge. Nothing but good things to say, to be honest.
I feel like we got a taste. We got a little interaction with the man himself, Jace, who
Yeah.
pretty much is the mayor of this place.
Yeah.
But I want to see what this place actually is like. And tomorrow we can explore the buildings,
Meet the people. And
get a feel for what like a actual day in the life of Jarbidge looks like.
yeah.
The next morning, with still no other people to be found, we decided it was time to explore the town.
So right now we're walking through what feels like southern Jarbidge. A lot of buildings. There's a gas station. There's supposedly a post office. It's actually the most remote post office in the US. There are all of these buildings down here, but I don't really think anybody actually lives in them. And this feels like nobody's been here in years.
You just don't get the feeling that it's inhabited. You know that eerie feeling
Yeah.
of like when you see a place, if the population is 15,
There's 30 houses right here.
Easily.
With more questions than answers at this point, we decided to officially sit down with Jace and learn a little bit more about the town, who lives here, and what makes this place so special. But first, it wouldn't be a proper morning at the Red Dog Saloon without a little magic coffee.
I have more alcohol than I had in like the last maybe 2 months. Fuck, that's good though.
Yeah, right.
That's really fucking good.
After taking our orders, cooking everyone breakfast, and pouring us a few more coffees, Jace finally got a moment to tell us about his life in Jarbidge.
How long have you been here again?
Well, grandparents bought property in 78, so this has always been home. In the 80s, there was 14 of us in a one-room school, and they shut it down in 2002 when they run out of kids. Nobody wants to live here anymore.
But like, there's a ton of buildings.
There's a lot of those houses that people only come to once a year. There's some that people haven't been to for years. That's why you see some of them are starting to look pretty rough. Hate to see the old town fall apart.
What do you think the future for Jarbidge looks like?
Well, I hope more people want to retire up here, because all the retirees that are here aren't getting any younger. Unfortunately, we lost 5 of them last year. So I'm hoping their kids will want to embrace the same lifestyle, move up, so we have people that take care of the buildings and keep the town alive.
And you wear like 100 different hats right now. I feel like you're like manager, general contractor.
It's hard to find somebody who wants to come up here and work. They're making too much money in town, so they want to make that, and the travel time coming up here, you can't afford it. When we go shopping, you want to stock up for at least a month or two, because it's basically 2.5 hours on a good day into Twin Falls. You're going to need to fuel up, maybe grab a bite to eat, and then 2.5 hours back. Well, it's an 8-hour day.
You learn to not be wasteful whatsoever, obviously.
Well, you can't. It's too far to run out and get something if you need something.
Are there periods of time where you might not have any visitors?
Oh yeah, there's times in the wintertime especially, that you might go a week and not see anybody.
If somebody was gonna be lonely for like even a few days, they could go crazy. Like, where do you go to? Like, where do you draw strength from, I guess, in moments like that?
Oh, there's always something to do.
Yeah.
People that are bored, I think, are not very creative, or they don't have any drive, desire, or ambition to do anything for themselves. They just write a check or pay somebody to do the stuff that we have to do up here, because you can't find somebody to come up here to do odds and ends.
We learned that Jarbidge being so isolated actually creates a community of people who look out for each other and the town.
Anybody will help anybody out and go swap an electrical outlet or replace a light switch.
You know that's not common, right?
Apparently it's not, but I didn't realize that. Because when you live out here, it's just something you take for granted because it's something you do.
We also learned that Jace operates most of the public businesses in Jarbidge, and he's open 7 days a week.
Well, you have to be. Without the businesses, if these businesses weren't here, this town would die real fast.
It was becoming clear just how much pride and appreciation he has for this town.
Bad day working in Jarbidge is better than a good day living in the city.
And we wanted to see if the other locals felt the same. Our first stop, the gift shop, where we met Jace's wife, Jane, and obviously had to pick up some souvenirs, especially these wild rags which Jane sews herself.
Oh yeah, I feel like I belong now.
Do you feel like an honorary Jarbridgian now?
Yeah, a Jarbidgian for sure.
Then we made our way over to the post office, where we met Mary Bess.
You've been here pretty much your whole life.
Yeah, I grew up here.
Wow, and your dad ran the post office before you?
He grew up here.
What's your favorite part about living here?
Just my history, I think.
You have a sense of pride of all of the history of your family here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And after a few more laps up and down Main Street,
So this is the Jarbidge jail, where the criminal of the last stagecoach robbery was actually put in prison. Now we're gonna go check out the community hall.
You can feel that there is definitely a sense of pride to preserve the history that goes on in here, to pass down stories, to pass down the history itself of what Jarbidge meant.
we had entered pretty much every building and met everyone we could. And at this point, what we had figured out is that most people living here have always called this place home. And maybe they're just so used to it that they're happy to be so isolated. But luckily, Jace was able to get us a meeting with one other resident. And this is where we were really going to learn what makes Jarbidge so special.
And this is Danny right here.
How are you, Danny?
There's so much about you.
This is Juan and Andrew.
Meet Danny Sullivan, the owner of the only specialty shop in town, a glass blowing shop.
So you've made all of this. All of this is you.
Glass. And I do all the paintings. In the 90s, I started working for Oracle, and I was flying around and I kept seeing all this glass. And so when I left Oracle, I bought my first kiln and then just kind of self-taught. I fire up the kiln, fire up my oxygen, and then I just sit here and make flowers. These flowers I made here yesterday. That tubing that you see,
Yeah.
I blow them into these and then I'll glitter these up for Christmas ornaments.
Wow.
Oracle is like as corporate as I can think
I
of.
know.
Like someone being in consulting
Yeah.
to then making the move to like being here and like rural.
Well, that's why, right? I got burnt out of doing all this computer stuff, so I was like, I want to do something fun.
Do you live by yourself here in town, or?
I actually live with my partner next door.
Okay. Did it take any convincing for your partner to come here to move here with you? Have they been here before?
No, in fact, his family has owned the house since the 40s.
Oh, it's through his family.
Right.
Is there anything about living in like a bigger city that you miss at all?
No.
Yeah,
I had to think about it. No, not really. For me right now, I'm at that point in my life where it's like I get my social fix by people coming into the glass shop.
Yeah.
And then in true small town fashion, some people actually came into the shop, including our next local, Danny's partner, Darren.
So you guys obviously spend a lot of time with each other. How do you this sounds
Got a big house.
Big house, and this is my Zen space.
Have you seen Jason's bar? Do you want to see a real bar?
Yeah.
The inside of the house was a public bar back in
40s,
40s,
50s,
50s.
You're kidding.
My grandfather ran it.
And then just like that, Danny and Darren, who we had met less than 10 minutes ago, invited us into their home.
Wow. So this was an original bar.
The motel used to be the Mercantile, which was the store, and this was the counter that was in there. And then my grandfather got a hold of it and made the bar of it.
They had so many relics that embodied the history and spirit of this little town.
This was originally the mining offices, and this is the vault where they stored the gold.
This is where they stored the gold.
We use it for a pantry.
You know you might have the coolest food pantry of all time.
I think
Yeah.
so.
But their hospitality That was something unlike anything Juan and I have ever experienced.
Thank you guys so much for letting us into your home. It's so kind.
Yeah, up here's a little different. I mean, you want to come back for a beer or something? You're welcome.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I don't charge. I mean, I don't have liquor. It's free. So.
And it wasn't just them. We realized that everyone in this town immediately made you feel like part of their community.
When you're out here and you drive down the road, people wave to strangers. You know, when you're in town, you wave and nobody waves. Nobody looks at each other. Nobody talks to each other.
Not at all. Walk my dog like, 2-3 times a day. And I could pass by people like as close as like 2 blades. And people would look down, look at their phone.
Everybody's in their own little world in the city.
Because of how remote this place is, they don't take anything for granted. Whether it's stocking up on supplies for months,
That's our emergency supply wood.
That's a big emergency supply.
or making the most out of social interactions. They're intentional with how they do everything and how they treat everyone. We closed the night sharing drinks,
Cheers, guys. Thank you so much for your hospitality.
stories, and laughs with our new friends, and definitely felt like part of the Jarbidge family.
The last day here, I get a little coffee, say goodbye to everybody, and unfortunately, pack up for now.
I'm just have to leave.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like part of me is gonna take Jarbidge with me everywhere I go now. The way that the people were here, the sense of community.
When you live in a big city with people everywhere and your phone handy, you can always feel somewhat connected, but it's not enough. Coming to this place showed us that we need real connection.
Now for the real important question is, would you see yourself living in a place like Jarbidge?
Not at this stage in my life.
Even though we wouldn't be moving to Jarbidge anytime soon, that small town spirit of being welcoming, looking out for other people, and being open to connect with strangers is something that we will bring back anywhere.
I'm not having Irish cream.
Come on, we're driving out of here. You better not fucking Irish cream.
You ready for some magical coffee?
Can I have one? This is a proper goodbye right here. Proper 12, proper goodbye.
How is that?
It won't be worth anything by the time the twins
Don't get no better.